Hey, we are celebrating Black History Month, and my guest today is from Asase Yaa Cultural Arts Foundation, right here on The Frequency. What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes. As you know, we are celebrating Black History Month, and what better to celebrate Black History Month when talking about arts and culture, cultural arts, especially African dance and drum, which is a big part of, our heritage, our culture. And I have a wonderful guest. She is the Director of Operations for Asase Yaa. Please welcome Ruby Inez Williams. Ruby!
Peace, Dee. How are you?
I'm great, sister. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing well.
I love your is the dashiki? What do you have on?
So it's called a fugu, actually, but it's a top traditionally worn from Ghana.
Okay, and
not actually by women usually, but I like the style of it.
Yeah. I love it too. It is beautiful. Okay, we got to get right into the Asase Yaa. You have to tell me about it because, first of all, I know it's in the heart of Brooklyn, which is like, the cultural mecca. So please tell me about it.
So Asase Yaa Cultural Arts Foundation is a cultural performing arts organization. We were founded in 2001 as a professional African dance company. And from that point, we've kind of grown into a school of the arts, a summer arts camp, as well as in-school programming where we go into schools and provide arts and culture support within our community.
See, I love that because I feel like a lot of things that are happening now today is we're not community based anymore. a lot of things are just, you know what I mean? Like the structure of that is just falling apart. So I love when there's something that which is within the community that people can go to. So you said you was started in 2001. It was started as a school.
No, we started as a professional African dance company. So our artistic director, Yao Babio, and our current executive director, Kofi Osei Williams, they're brothers, biological brothers, but they're also both musicians. And so they started Asase Yaa African American Dance Theater, kind of really with a vision to be able to present and develop African dance and drumming at a wider scope. And on bigger stages. You know, quite often African dance is seen as only community-based, only done in certain settings. And so as musicians, they wanted to be able to present our art and our culture, but in the same way and in the same platforms that you might see modern dance or ballet, because it is an art form that requires a skill set. And quite often it's not seen as such. So that was kind of our inception as young artists, just kind of wanting to present our art and put African culture out into the world at its highest level.
I love that. Now, because it is Black History Month, I mean, this is something you guys do all year round, of course, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. We do.
But
we do.
How do you focus in on this particular month, on Black History Month?
So some years ago, we started presenting ourselves and having our own performances and productions fairly early on in the trajectory and history of Asase Yaa. But we started doing our own concerts the first Saturday in February prior to COVID. And during, COVID, of course, everything was closed. We couldn't have any large major concerts or gatherings. So this year, after our 20th anniversary was celebrated, we are having our first ever Rhythm and Movements African Arts Festival, which is a celebration of Black History Month, but also just of the rhythm and movements of our people and kind of presenting all of the various aspects of it through music, through dance, through theater. We have a band performing, and of course, Asase Yaa is all about the youth. So we have a night that's dedicated to our youth performance ensemble as well. And we really wanted to kind of take an opportunity to bring our art and culture to the forefront, but also this year we are celebrating the anniversary of hip hop. And so we used, so the shows that we're doing in the daytime are a original play by us called The Hip Hop Kingdom that we are kind of representing.
It's called the Hip Hop One more time?
It's called The Hip Hop Kingdom. The Hip Hop Kingdom.
Okay, I love that. The Hip Hop Kingdom. Break it down for me. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the Hip Hop Kingdom actually is a production.
No, go ahead.
It's a production that we started in our summer program. So our summer camp is a 6-week program. And so it's one of the stories that we've told in our summer camp. And we were like, this is a perfect time for us to be able to represent this particular story. And we're using professional actors and actresses for it. Normally it's our youth that perform. So we're excited to represent this production and celebrate hip hop and all things Black History Month during the festival.
I love that. So the festival is basically it's in Brooklyn, or does it travel?
So the festival is going to be at the Abrams Arts Center, which is in the Lower East Side. Actually, it used to be called the Henry Street Settlement. And I actually performed there when I was younger. I was like maybe 7 or 8. And I did a off-Broadway play there. So I'm excited actually to just be back in the building. But it is not going to be located in Brooklyn. It's going to be in the LES, as we call it.
The LES. When you said the Henry Street Settlement, what's the history behind that? Do you know?
So the Henry Street Settlement is a small theater that is there in the Lower East Side. I know that a lot of Black and Brown artists, producers have used it previously. Like I said, I performed in an off-Broadway play when I was younger there. I don't know the full history of the theater. It's a fairly small theater, but it's been around a really long time.
I love that. Now, can you tell me more about the cultural meaning behind Asase Yaa?
Yes. So
The
Asase Yaa
name.
is,
Thank you.
yeah. So Asase Yaa is a tree word, and tree is a language from Ghana, West Africa, and Asase Yaa means Mother Earth. And so
Mother
in the
Earth.
inception, yeah. So in the inception of Asase Yaa, Yao and Osei really wanted to be able to kind of call on the energy of creation and the
Mhm.
energy of what it means to be Black and African, and then
Right.
also connecting that with creating as artists.
I love that. Do you guys do more history? Like, the history behind the dance, the history behind, the performance?
Absolutely. So I'm one of the co-founders and the director of our cultural performing arts camp. And so
Nice.
the whole mindset behind that particular program is really that we are not only uplifting the arts and they're going to learn to dance and drum and act, and sing possibly, but they're going to learn the meaning behind the stories that we're telling. So like, for example, the Hip Hop Kingdom, when we presented that, they learned about hip hop. The art that they did that year in particular was graffiti art. Most of the
Oh,
dancing
wow.
that they did was centered around hip hop, right? And so, when we tell the stories, they are focused on those particular stories we're telling, and learning the history and the value behind them.
See, that is so important because you see what the cultural dilemma we're in right now, where they're trying to block teaching history, in particular Black history. How
Yeah.
how are you guys combating that? Like, how are you righting that wrong, basically?
I mean, I think the reality is to stand firm on
Mhm.
being honest and open about who we are
Yes.
and what our history is and what our requirements are for community. It's
Right.
important with the Asase Yaa. Our goal has always been to create a space and a sense of community for our young people and for their families. And so,
Right.
putting African and Black culture in the forefront is the best way to combat some of the adversities
Yeah.
that we are experiencing, and to do it
Mhm.
both historically but also currently. So yes, let's talk about what has happened in the past, but also let's talk
Right.
about what's required right now for us. If you're going to be around each other, that is your brother, that is your sister. We are going to take care of each other. We are going to hold each other accountable. We are going to have fun
Right.
together. We are going to learn together. We're going to explore together. And so I think that it's a combination of both, telling our stories, things that
Yes.
have happened previously, but also reinventing
Hmm.
ourselves and telling our stories forward. So even some of the ballets that our dance company presents, they are kind of a reinventing of telling our stories through performance. And so it's not
Right.
just a look backwards, but also an opportunity to kind of look forward. I'll give
Hmm.
you one example. So when we did the Hip Hop
Please.
Kingdom originally in the summer
Uh-huh.
camp, the main character was a young man that it might have been his maybe fifth year in our summer program. I mean, he probably was like 10 or maybe 11.
Right.
But we had him write original rap for that particular play that he did in the show. And so
Okay.
even that opportunity, they're learning about hip hop and the past and who the greats are and the music and all of those things. But also
Hmm.
in that moment, giving him room and space to be creative and create his own rhymes as well. So,
Right. I
yeah.
love that. That is so
Yeah.
dope, yo. Okay, we're gonna get into more of the culture. I really want you to break down to the significance of the African drum. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back on the frequency.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
A lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back to The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes, and my special guest, Ruby Inez Williams, Director of Operation of Asase Yaa. Welcome back, Ruby.
Hi.
Hey there. Now, I was just thinking during the break about the significance of the African drum. Can you break that down for me? Because it is an important part of, the whole process.
Absolutely.
Of being able to perform.
Right. So the drum and its history is kind of layered. So African drumming is, currently used for performance art and of course to support African dance. But traditionally, drumming was used for communication and for us to be able to, even in a spiritual context, African drums were used. And so drums are not narrow or linear in their usage, nor are they linear in just the type of drums. There are millions of different types of African drums that you can find across the continent of Africa. In African dance, they are vital to the art form in the sense of starting the movement, ending the movement, changing the step. Right. They can dictate a change in mood. They can dictate a change in song. The rhythms speak to sometimes specific ceremonies that are done. It might be for a naming ceremony or a wedding or a funeral that are used only in a certain context. There are drums that are used only for a spiritual context and others that are only used secularly. In Asase Yaa, we use a plethora of different African orchestras and diasporic orchestras as well. So they're not all just from the continent. Both Yao and Osei and the other musicians that are part of Asase Yaa have been studying, most of them since they were very, very young. So even in our ballet that we are presenting coming up, Ghana, Ghana, the place where the chief sleeps, which is going to be a part of the festival that is coming up. In this one play, we have rhythms from Ghana, we have rhythms from Guinea, West Africa. We have rhythms from Haiti. We have rhythms from Cuba as well, and even multiple rhythms from different peoples in Ghana. So the Ewe people, the Akan people. So so there's a variety of uses, but the importance and value of it is the heartbeat that it can kind of create. For us, whether it is that we're performing or we are in a spiritual place or we are in a celebratory place, they can all dictate those different things.
Yeah. Now that's a lot. You just made me think about the fact that the costumes, the rehearsals, like this organization has to be massive, right? I mean, Asase Yaa, it takes a lot of people to... how big is the organization? Because it has to take a lot of people to put that together.
We are still a small organization. It is not, there are not a lot of us. Our dance company, as far as the professional company, ranges, I would say 10 to 12. Sometimes we have guest card artists come in. As far as the directors, there's Yao, who's the artistic director, Osei, who is the executive director, myself, who's the director of operations. We have Zakia Harris, who's the artistic director of our School of the Arts, which is our youth-focused programming. And then we have Kwesi and Chroma, who is the program manager for our outreach program. And so we are the directors, and we have, some other people that work with us and some consultants, but we all are also performers. We've been with the company since its inception, all of us. And so we are still a very small organization. But for us, growth is important. But the quality of our work and the impact that we have is also vital. So we've grown tremendously as far as the amount of schools we've been in, the number of, children we've had in our summer camp. We started the summer camp, I remember the first year, we had like 6 children, basically. And so our largest, we've gone up to about 100, 150 youth and in the summer in our 6-week program. And so we've grown. But as far as numbers of employees, not necessarily. We do have teaching artists that are consultants that we hire that go out and go into schools and work with us. But again, like I said, as far as the meat and potatoes, it is, we are still a small organization.
So what about the funding? Is that something also that's done through?
So we have a development. We have a development.
You don't have to give me all the details, but you know what I mean. Like how do you fund it?
So I mean, we have just recently started getting more funding. We have done everything kind of based on and connected through the community mostly. And when I say more recently, the last maybe 5 to 7 years, everything else that we have done has been for us, by us, whether it be parents, our own pockets, parents, sending their children and paying for their tuition, schools seeing the value in the work that we're doing and deciding to bring us in. We've, been producing ourselves. And so it's definitely something that we are committed to regardless. Of course, funding is important, but the community is invaluable as well, though.
Exactly.
Because if they are supporting you, if they're supporting you, then there's nothing that can stop you from continuing to take the steps necessary to move forward and to do the work that that needs to be done within your community.
Exactly, man. I believe in that so much. Like community is so important, and it's interesting too that you mentioned hip hop and Hip Hop Kingdom, the program that you do, because I feel like within hip hop, we've lost that sense of community. You know what I mean? It's become more and more consumerism and capitalism. So I love that there's something there, you know what I mean? And I would love, I want to see right now. I'm like so excited. I want to see the Hip Hop Kingdom. I really do. I'm going to have to make my way there to New York for sure to see that. Just the name of it is inspiring. And you mentioned also too that you've been with how long have you been with Asase Yaa?
Since 2002, when I graduated from college, actually. So basically since its inception. So did you start?
Right, basically, because it started in 2001, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, so did you start off as a performer?
Yes. So I started dancing when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And when I first started with Asase Yaa, I was, a dancer, but we were just a performance company. We were not a nonprofit organization. We didn't have an in-school program. We literally were young artists, kind of committed to presenting African dancing and drumming, to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I want to know more about you and how you got involved with organization. So when you were in college, like what? Yeah. To guide me, to walk us through that, because I'm trying to picture you in college. What were you studying? Did you grow up in Brooklyn? Like, what's the tea?
I did. So I was born in Oakland, California, but I was raised in Brooklyn, New York. And actually, Yao and Ose's mother was my teacher
Oakland
when I was younger.
is the
So I
Brooklyn
knew
of
them.
California.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is.
Right?
And so I knew them prior to, and their older sister actually was my dance teacher as well. But I studied dance from the inception. My mom was a dancer, and she studied with Catherine Dunham and Ruth Beckford.
Oh, wow.
And so I've grown up in dance my entire life. And so when I graduated, I already knew Yao, actually. And so when he saw me, I actually saw him at the International African Arts Festival that summer in like June, July. And when we saw each other, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I have a company. You know, we have rehearsal." I think they have rehearsal the next day. And so I went to rehearsal. And he had been talking to me about it when I would come home from school, And so when I had the opportunity to go, I went, and the rest is kind of history. I've been dancing with them ever since. And, you know, it was an opportunity to present my art form at a professional level. I've been performing since I was little. I've done Dance Africa, which is a major African dance production that has been around in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Academy of Music for years. And I've been my first time performing there, I was probably about 7. And so I've been performing on large stages before Asase Yaa, of course, but it was an opportunity to kind of dance with my peers and to present our story as young African dancers and drummers, but who had grown up in Brooklyn and in Black and African culture in Brooklyn and in New York City, and being able to tell our stories and put our stories onto the stage the way that we wanted to. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about how you went from performer to director of operations. We'll be back on the frequency.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Back right here on the frequency with my guest, Ruby Inez Williams. Ruby, join me. Okay, we were just talking about, hey, we were just, my head is still swimming on the fact that you went from performer to director of operation. Please walk us through that process, because what I didn't catch when you said you were in college, I know you were studying dance, but that was your major. Was that what you wanted to do, to pursue?
No.
Go ahead. Tell me.
So I have got a bachelor's degree in biology from Xavier University of Louisiana, and never necessarily intended to dance professionally.
Wow.
It's I tell people all the time, it's my love and my happy place. Yeah, it's my passion. So always had a love for dance, but that was never really the goal as far as that's concerned. But I knew I wanted to continue to dance, in my life. And so that was always a part of what I wanted to do. When I got home from school, outside of starting to dance, I started to teach. And so with that in mind, as I came back home to Brooklyn, I realized that there was a void for a lot of our young people. And the void in particular I was seeing was in the summertime, that they were just not experiences. They didn't have much things to do or activities. And so that's how we started Asase Yaa Children's Arts Camp, which is our cultural performing arts program that runs for 6 weeks every summer. And the goal really was to give our babies an outlet, but also teach them about who they are, tell our stories, give them an opportunity to be creative and to have fun and to create community, because I also was beginning to see that lack, that void of connectedness for them as well.
I love that.
And that step, and us seeing the need for growth, and seeing the need for having like a wider impact, we started to look at opportunities to form our nonprofit. And then that's how I went into the role of director of operations. I went back to school and got another degree in nonprofit leadership from Fordham University. And so, thank you. And so really being able to take our passion as artists, because that's where it all started, take that into how can we use these art forms, this creativity, this culture that we know and that we've all grown up in, to be able to further our impact, further our reach, and do the work that we know that is needed in our community.
What were some of the challenges with the children? Because I'm sure that they went there wanting to learn, wanting to know more about the culture, but it depends on really the children's background and what's going on in the household. Because I feel like there's not enough respect for Africa in our cultural history, because we're not taught it. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think that the children actually were very eager.
That's good.
I don't know that they really had any difficulty making a choice to kind of tap in. Of course, you have those who maybe socially, it's a new experience, or they're unaware of the, new words or new experiences or different things like that. But they were excited to learn about Mansa Musa and learn about Shaka Zulu and learn, you know what I mean? Or learn about the hip hop kingdom, and who Salt and Pepper are and all of those things. So I think that we didn't really get a pushback in that way. I think that for some of them, that space of community, outside of going to school, some of them just weren't familiar with like what that means and what that requires. And then also being confident, being comfortable, and being forward in their Blackness and their Africanness. I think for some of them that was familiar because that's the homes that they come from. And for some of them it wasn't, but for a lot of the parents, that's why they were coming to our program. Is because that's what their parents specifically were interested in, is them being, connected to their Black and Africanness. And I think that the wider scope of the difficulties, because, some of the children, were coming from homes where that wasn't necessarily what was promoted, and so it was a new experience. But we do our best to find ways to connect to every child. And so everyone gets an opportunity to be themselves and to present who they are and what they're excited about. And so I'll give an example. At our summer program, we do like a talent show in the first couple of days. And it just gives an opportunity for the children to share. We've had children break dance, rap, recite a poem, sing, do all kinds of things. But it's just an opportunity for them to be free, to be children, and to own who they are. And that's really, really important.
I believe that so much. What are the age ranges that you guys work with?
So the summer program is from 4 to 13, but our dance school is from 3 to 18. Our dance program that runs from September to June, which is a traditional, dance school. They do, ballet and tap and African and hip hop and modern jazz. Nice. And we also have a drum program that goes along with that as well. But that program is from 3 years old to 18, so a little bit wider age range. But the summer camp is 4 to 13.
What is like the mission of Asase Yaa? Like, what is the goal, the main goal?
The main goal is to present African and African diasporic art and culture at its highest level, and to educate and promote that art and culture to our community, and using it as a tool to foster community, to embolden our young people and their families to be the leaders of tomorrow. And so that they don't look at it just as a job or just as a hobby, but it's a tool that they can use to empower themselves, to empower their parents, to reach backwards to their younger siblings and the other young people in their community, to be able to have them come up with ideas to impact change. And so I think it's all of those things forward. The art and the culture is a tool that we're using to be able to have an impact forward. Absolutely.
That is beautiful, yo. I love that. I love that so much. And I wish too that more youth had, access to that. I was fortunate enough to, because I did grow up in New York before I came to California. And my mom did put us into African dance. We had to go on, Saturdays, but we didn't get to learn, what I'm talking about. We didn't get to learn a lot of the, not there in particular, but my mom had, the books and everything at home, but we didn't get to learn within that community, that sense of community that you guys are presenting with just some of the things you named about the history, you know what I mean? So I love that you combine the actual, dance with the history of the culture, you know what I mean? So Absolutely. That means that there's books available within the dancing, right? I love that too. I love that too, so that they get, is it like, do you guys do the reading together? Is it like...
We present in a variety of ways. So in our summer camp, they actually act, they actually perform the plays. So yes, there's reading involved. They do have to learn about the different characters to be able to, represent who they are. And so it's not a formal reading program, but yes, if you're going to act and you're going to have lines, then you do have to read.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just bringing up the reading because of the fact that they're banning books, left and right.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's important. It's important. And if they're going to be in the books, we're going to find other ways. So we're going to talk to them, about it and have them act it out. And then you can't stop it because it's within them.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on The Frequency.
Peace, I'm Faraji Muhammad, host of The Culture. And brothers, we need to talk. There's been much discussion about the state of the Black man in our community, whether it's in politics, education, or in the home. My brothers, we are struggling to lead the way, which is why The Culture will be hosting the Black Men Summit, where we'll be redefining and celebrating Black manhood. This special series will kick off on the 28th anniversary of the historic Million Man March on Monday, October the 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be talking to some of Black America's most prolific, dynamic, thought-provoking Black men activists, scholars, and leaders about our role, our power, and our future. So tune in and join the conversation as an online culture crew member for The Culture's Black Men Summit, redefining and celebrating Black manhood. Starting Monday, October 16th through Friday, October 20th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time each day, right here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture. We're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
We're back right here on the frequency with my guest, Ruby Inez Williams. We're talking about Asase Yaa, the Cultural Arts Foundation. Ruby, please join me. I know we're almost out of time, but being that it is Black History Month, I really wanted to ask you, what does Black history mean to you? And I've been thinking about that myself.
So Black history to me, really is encompassing of our ingenuity forward. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that sometimes when we think about Black history, it's either one way or the other. It is history prior to us coming to the Americas, or it's only what's happening here. I think that we have to take all of it together. For me, I think that it is the full scope of who we are, and as Africans and as African Americans and as people of the diaspora, and all of those parts connected, in the way that we've been able to reach back, as they say, Sankofa, and bring those things from Africa forward and be able to utilize them as tools to help us to be able to persevere, help us to be able to create inventions, help us to be able to create new genres of art, help us to create whole communities post-slavery. You know what I mean? I think that Black history has to do with taking our history and looking at it and letting it embolden us to be able to continue to do that work forward, and not forgetting where we come from, but not just stopping there. Really looking at how we've used it, how we can continue to use it forward. You know, even our Rhythm and Movements Festival that we're doing, a part of us doing the festival is that we don't have to just do one day, and it's not just one day, that we can be able to present to our children, present about hip hop, but also in that same breath have an entire African dance performance, and in that same breath have an African jazz band perform, and in that same breath have our young people have a night to themselves to perform and to dance and to drum. And so bringing all of those things together is what I think is the importance and value of Black History Month, and that we have to use the history, right? But really it's the vision forward, and how are we going to take that history and take those steps forward for ourselves and for our community.
Oh my God, you couldn't have put it better. I'm overwhelmed by the fact that the Cultural Arts Foundation and you guys have established is there still in the community and you're still doing the work. I just want to commend you on that, give you your flowers, your virtual flowers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for what you're doing and the work that Asase Yaa is doing with the community. I wish that this was, all international, not international, but all over the country, in every little spot, every state, that there would be, every community really, that there would be something like that. I think it's very much needed, more now than ever before. And, it just makes me sad sometimes that what they're doing to Black history and trying to eliminate it from the schools and, getting rid of books. But we have, people like you that are doing the work. And I think you're amazing. I think you're wonderful. Thank you. No, thank you for thank you for just sticking with it, because like you said, that wasn't something you thought you were going to be doing for the rest of your life, but it's your passion. And you can see it on you too. I mean, your skin is glowing. You know what I mean? You're like, and that's because you're doing what you love. And not all of us are fortunate enough to have that opportunity. And then you're also passing on, the knowledge. So thank you. Okay. And definitely come back, again. When is the festival happening this year? For 2020?
So the festival is February 12th through the 18th. There are daytime shows, there are evening shows. Please go to our website or to the Abrams Art Center website and you can check it out. Tickets are reasonable. They're like $25, $30. So you can see any of our productions for that price point. And definitely come out and see Hip Hop Kingdom.
Yes, I'm trying to get there. I have to see that because I do not want to miss that. For sure. Well, thank you, Ruby. I appreciate you so much. You definitely got to come back. We got to
absolutely. I would love it.
Yeah, especially because I want to see Hip Hop Kingdom, and I really want to break that down. You know what I mean? Even though we're just coming off of the 50th anniversary of hip hop, but I still want to talk about how hip hop and African culture is really, it's more
connected than people like to talk about.
Yeah, than they really want to admit. So we got to break that down. That would be great. And you can bring some guests on if you want, and we can really talk.
Absolutely, I will.
Because you know the debate that's going on with that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on The Frequency.
You as well.
I will catch
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Well, like I told you, Black History Month, we're talking about, culture. And, I really want to thank my guest. She was incredible. And please support the Asase Yaa Cultural Arts Foundation. Catch you next time on The Frequency.